Close your eyes for a second. Now imagine you're a pirate in the Caribbean, 300 years ago. You've just captured a Spanish galleon. The captain opens his treasure chest, and inside, these. Spanish gold. The most famous treasure coin in history. Pirates call them doubloons. The Spanish called them 8 escudos. And this one? It's from 1798, one of the last years these legendary coins were made. This isn't just a coin. It's a piece of pirate legend. It financed an empire. It sank with the ships. It filled treasure chests. And today? It's still one of the most beautiful gold coins ever made. Okay, so what exactly are we looking at here? This is a Spanish 8 escudos from 1798. Let me break that down into simple terms. On this side, you see King Charles IV of Spain. He's wearing fancy royal clothes, looking very regal. The Spanish called him Carlos IV or Carol IV. He ruled Spain from 1788 to 1808, right around the time when everything in Europe was going crazy with Napoleon and the revolutions. Around the edge, it says, Carolus III de Gratia, that's Latin for, Charles IV, by the grace of God. Kings loved putting stuff like that on their coins to remind everyone that God chose them to be king. Pretty smart marketing, right? Now flip it over. This site is amazing. You've got the Spanish coat of arms, that's the royal shield showing all the kingdoms Spain controlled. You can see castles, lions, and those weird red and yellow stripes. And on either side? Those are the Pillars of Hercules. These pillars represent the Strait of Gibraltar, basically, the edge of the known world for ancient Europeans. The Spanish motto was plus ultra, which means further beyond. They were basically saying, we went past the edge of the world and found gold. Lots of it. This coin weighs about 27 grams, almost a full ounce of gold. It's 22 karat gold, which means it's about 91.7% pure. The rest is copper to make it harder. And it's big, about 37 millimeters across. That's bigger than a modern quarter. In 1798, this single coin was worth 8 escudos. That was a ton of money. We're talking maybe $400 to $500 in today's money. You could buy a horse, or pay a worker's salary for months. This wasn't pocket change, this was serious wealth. To understand why this coin exists, we need to talk about one of the biggest empires in history. Let's go back to 1492. Christopher Columbus sails across the Atlantic Ocean looking for India. He doesn't find India, he finds something way more valuable. He finds America. And America has gold. Lots and lots of gold. The Spanish conquistadors, basically Spanish warriors, conquered Mexico, Peru, and South America. And in these places, they found incredible gold and silver mines. The mine at Potosí in Bolivia was literally a mountain made of silver. Can you imagine? Every year, the Spanish treasure fleet would load up ships with gold and silver from the New World and sail them back to Spain. This went on for almost 300 years. The Spanish were literally shipping mountains of gold and silver across the ocean. They didn't always ship raw gold though. They set up mints all over the Americas, in Mexico City, Lima in Peru, Bogotá in Colombia, Santiago in Chile. These mints turn raw gold into coins. Into 8 escudos. This particular coin was made in 1798. Based on the mint marks, those little symbols on the coin, this one was probably made in Mexico, Peru, or maybe even in Spain itself at the Seville or Madrid mint. Without seeing the exact mint mark clearly, it's hard to say for sure, but that's part of the mystery. King Charles IV was ruling Spain when this was made. And honestly, he wasn't a great king. He was kind of weak and let his wife and her favorite advisor basically run the country. But his coins? His coins were beautiful. By 1798, the Spanish Empire was starting to decline. Napoleon was taking over Europe. The American colonies were getting ideas about independence. Within 20 years, most of Spain's American empire would be gone. So coins like this one? They're from the very end of an era. Okay, now let's talk about the fun part. Pirates. When you hear the word doubloon, what do you think of? Pirates, right? Treasure chests. Buried gold. X marks the spot. Well, guess what? This is that coin. This is the pirate treasure coin. From about 1650 to 1720, that's called the Golden Age of Piracy, Spanish treasure ships sailing through the Caribbean were the #1 target for pirates. Why? Because of coins like this. Blackbeard, Captain Kidd, Henry Morgan, and Bonnie, Mary Read, all the famous pirates you've heard of, they were all hunting for Spanish gold. When they captured a Spanish ship, this is what they wanted. Not the cargo of sugar or tobacco. The gold coins. Imagine being a pirate and opening a chest full of these. Each coin is worth maybe 6 months of a sailor's wages. 50 coins would make you rich. 100 coins would make you set for life. But here's something even crazier. Hundreds of Spanish ships sank in storms. The Caribbean has hurricanes, massive storms that would sink entire fleets. The ocean floor is literally covered with Spanish gold from wrecked ships. Even today, treasure hunters are still finding these coins. They dive into old wrecks and find coins that have been underwater for 200-300 years. Pull them up, clean them off, and boom, pirate gold. Some coins come up all black and crusty from the salt water. Others come up looking almost perfect. It's totally random. The ones from shipwrecks are super popular with collectors because of the story behind them. Now, this coin probably didn't come from a shipwreck. It's so nice. It probably was used in trade, then saved by someone, and survived on land all these years. But it's the same coin that pirates fought and died for. Every pirate movie you've ever seen, Pirates of the Caribbean, Treasure Island, The Goonies, when they show gold coins, they're showing these. This is the treasure coin. The legend. The icon. So how did they actually make these coins? It's pretty cool, actually. First, they'd take raw gold, either from mines or from melting down old jewelry and other stuff, and melt it in a furnace. Then they'd pour it into molds to make thin sheets or strips of gold. Workers would cut circles out of these gold sheets. These blank circles are called planchets. Each planchet was supposed to weigh exactly 27 grams. They'd weigh each one carefully. Meanwhile, master engravers would carve designs into steel dies. One dies for the king's portrait, one dies for the coat of arms. This required incredible skill, they're carving backward so it comes out right when stamped. Then comes the fun part. They'd heat up the planchet until it was soft, place it between the two dies, and whack it with a huge hammer or press. Bam! The design gets stamped into the gold. Early Spanish coins, from the 1500s and 1600s, were pretty crude. They're called cob coins and they look like lumpy blobs of gold. But by 1798, when your coin was made, they'd gotten really good at it. Look at the detail. You can see individual curls in the king's wig. You can see every tiny symbol on the coat of arms. This is a masterpiece level work. Each mint had its own mark, a little symbol that told you where it was made. Mexico used MO, Lima used L, Bogota used NR, they'd also put the assayer's initials, that's the guy who checked the gold's purity. All this info is coded right into the coin. And see the edge? It's reeded, it has those little grooves. That wasn't just decoration. It stopped people from shaving gold off the edges. People used to do that, shave a tiny bit off each coin, collect the shavings, and melt them down. Sneaky. Okay, so in 1798, what could you actually buy with this coin? Let's put it in perspective. An 8 escudos was worth 8 escudos, obviously, but what does that mean? A good horse? About 10 to 15 escudos. So this coin would buy you half a horse, or a really cheap horse. A barrel of rum? Maybe 2 escudos. So 4 barrels of rum. A fancy coat? 5 escudos. So 1.5 fancy coats. A month's rent for a house in a colonial city? Maybe 3 to 5 escudos. Here's the best way to think about it. An average worker, like a carpenter or a sailor, earns maybe 1 to 2 escudos per month. So this single coin represented 4 to 8 months of work for most people. In today's terms, that's like having a coin worth $15,000 to $20,000 in your pocket. Imagine walking around with a coin worth $20,000. That's what this was. Only wealthy merchants, ship captains, noblemen, and criminals used these. Regular people never even see an 8 escudos. They used smaller silver coins for everyday stuff. But here's what made Spanish gold special: everyone trusted it. You could use this coin in Spain, Mexico, Philippines, China, India, Africa. Everywhere. It was the first truly global currency. The dollar of the 1700s. So what's this coin worth today? That's what everyone wants to know, right? Well, first, let's talk about gold itself. This coin has about 24 grams of pure gold in it. At today's gold prices, that's roughly $2,500 to $3,000 worth of gold. So even if you melted it down, which please don't, it's worth at least that much. But the collector's value is way higher. It depends on a few things: condition, where it was minted, and rarity. This coin is in a really nice shape. The portrait is clear. You can read all the letters. The coat of arms has good detail. In numismatic terms, this looks like it's in VF or XF condition, very fine to extremely fine. That means it circulated for a while, but not too heavily. For a coin like this, you're looking at somewhere between $3,000 on the low end to maybe $6,000 on the high end, depending on the exact mint and the buyer. Now, if you have a perfect, uncirculated example, like it just came from the mint and never got used, those can sell for $10,000 to $20,000 or even more. Coins from famous shipwrecks sell for even more because of the story. A coin from the Atacha shipwreck or the 1715 plate fleet? Those have sold for crazy prices, $15,000, $20,000, even $50,000 for exceptional pieces. If you've got one of these, the smart thing to do is get it professionally graded. Companies like NGC or PCGS will authenticate it, grade its condition, and seal it in a protective holder. This makes it more valuable and easier to sell. One warning though, there are a lot of fake Spanish gold coins out there. Modern reproductions, tourist souvenirs, straight-up counterfeits. If someone's selling you one for $500, it's fake. Always buy from reputable dealers or get it authenticated. So why does this coin matter? Why should you care about a 227-year-old piece of gold? Because this coin is history you can hold in your hand. Think about where it's been. In 1798, when this was made, George Washington was still alive. Napoleon was just beginning his conquest of Europe. Most of the United States was unexplored wilderness. This coin is older than your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. Who held this coin? Maybe a Spanish merchant in Lima, counting his profits. Maybe a ship captain, paying his crew. Maybe a nobleman buying land. Maybe someone fleeing a revolution, carrying their wealth. This coin might have crossed the Atlantic Ocean on a treasure galleon. It might have been buried in a jar during a war. It might have sat in a bank vault for 100 years. We'll never know the whole story. But here's what's amazing: this coin helped create the modern world. The massive amount of gold and silver Spain took from America literally fueled the global economy for 300 years. It paid for wars, built cities, funded exploration, backed currencies. The Spanish Empire left its mark everywhere. All those beautiful colonial churches and buildings in Mexico, Peru, Philippines? Built with gold. The Spanish language spoken by 500 million people? Spread by this empire. Even the American dollar is based on the Spanish system. And when pirates hunted treasure, when ships sank in storms, when revolutions overthrew kings, this was what it was all about. Real, tangible, beautiful gold. This coin is 22 karat gold, 27 grams, 37 millimeters across. It is worth about $5,000 today. But is its real value? Its real value is that it's a piece of adventure. A piece of empire. A piece of pirate legend. This is the Spanish 8 Escudos from 1798, the most famous treasure coin in the world. If you enjoyed learning about it, hit that like button and subscribe for more coin history. Drop a comment about which historical coin you want to see next. And if you're lucky enough to own one of these, treasure it. Because you're holding a legend in your hands.